Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next Backupmonster Show. Today, we have a subject securing the future of hybrid multi-cloud. And my special guest is Kevin Carter from the Rackspace. Hello, Kevin. Let me just add you to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for
Hello.
having
How
me.
Are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing today? I
I'm
was I
good.
was
I'm
I
good.
was really
As
I
as
was
we said, we
feeling
have a
pumped up. You know.
7-hour differences. So we have an afternoon in Poland. So it's a 3, and your time is 8 a.m.
That's right. Yeah.
Uh,
Just
so
getting started.
like we discussed before, so you already got the coffee, so it's good.
It's
Uh,
it's flowing.
so
Yes.
if somebody is watching us right now and you have a plenty of time, hopefully in the next 45 minutes to have a good coffee and listen about the hybrid cloud approach and the future of it, because hopefully you all already know that the Rackspace is one of the key players when we're talking about the OpenStack. And you, Kevin, you also, it's not a new subject for you, I guess,
Y-
the cloud space and
y-
Rackspace.
Yes. Yes. They've definitely been around for a little while. And but it's every day you're learning something, right? So every day
Mhm,
touching into something new and experiencing something different. So yeah, that's. I don't want to say I'm like old and curmudgeon, but yeah, definitely
mhm.
been around for a minute.
So tell me a little bit your story, because you are a strategic cloud leader right now in the Rackspace, and actually when you joined the Rackspace, and if you could a little bit tell about yourself
Sure,
here.
sure. Yeah, so I mean, as you mentioned, I've been in this space for a little while. I started at Rackspace back in 2011, and I worked at Rackspace from 2011 to 2019. Went off and did some other things, and then in 2023 came back to assume this new role to effectively, transform and revitalize some of how we're running our open infrastructure business.
Mhm.
So that's the high level TLDR.
Yeah, so so come back. I thought that because of the COVID, but it's not
No,
related to
no,
the
no, no,
COVID,
no.
I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, I was, yeah. So I'm a boomerang racker. I came back into this because I believe in effectively the mission that our leadership has put us on and has set before in front of us to really transform the enterprise cloud with open infrastructure.
Mhm. And how you see, let's say from the introduction point perspective, the setting the stage in the OpenStack, because we know what's going on right now on the market
Sure. Yeah.
since the last, not only the couple of months but more than a year. So it's a huge switch because of the Broadcom acquisition. But I don't want to say it's only because of the Broadcom, because there
Definitely.
is a place for the OpenStack, and it's always been. And the Rackspace actually was from the beginning.
From the
So
very
if you
beginning.
could,
Yeah.
so if you could, briefly introduce how you saw this beginning and how you see what is actually the right now the space for the OpenStack community and for the project.
Sure. I mean, when OpenStack started, it was it was ambitious. It was very ambitious, and it was a collaboration between two different entities, right? We had the NASA folks over with Ansel Labs, and we had the Rackspace folks combining resources, building out a cohesive platform ecosystem, and then taking something that was this amazing intellectual IP and literally just creating a foundation behind it and creating this open source platform. And really, from that foundational component of having these two different companies, two different worlds merging, and building something unique. Also, the similarities between that and also being in the open source ecosystem of being able to have the folks like Rackspace and folks like Red Hat and Storware and others all contributing into this massive ecosystem for the betterment of the platform, even if we are maybe entities in competing spaces, right? Like we're
Mhm.
partners, but I mean, like when there's we have the OVHs and the Vex hosts and the Rackspaces, and they're all doing OpenStack platforms, but we're all working together to make a better ecosystem and better platform. And so when it started, it was ambitious and it had huge goals. And in that time frame, it where it was originally, right? It was that like all good open source projects, it was unstable. It was exciting. It was changing every day. And but where it is now is that it is that stable platform that people can rely on. It's not because that things aren't changing still. I mean, things are still moving. It's still one of the top 3 open source projects on the planet. but
Mhm.
it is is a much more stable ecosystem than it was when in 2010 to 2024. It is now, and it's an enterprise leading platform. So
And the foundation actually and the mission, you think it's changed from the beginning? How you see the time frame?
you know,
Comparing 2010 2024.
I think the foundation has definitely changed, right? They've evolved with the times, right? If you think back then, right, where like the space was much different. Like virtualization
Mhm.
was technically kind of new. I mean, sure, it'd been happening for a long time, but what was happening with KVM and Zen Server and other things was definitely new. And now we have containerization, we have things like Firecracker and Kata containers, and like we have all of these other nuanced technologies that can all kind of work in that ecosystem. But yeah, I think that definitely the foundation had changed and has changed over time, but they are, I think they're keeping up with the times. They're not lagging behind, right? They're not trying to play catch up. They're a market leader in their own right.
Mhm. And when you're defining the private, because many, this is what I see from the, let's say, understanding point of view, people still doesn't understand what actually the OpenStack can do for them.
Oh
So
yeah,
they,
yeah,
saying, okay, it's a cloud, it's a private cloud, but other times, in what I noticed, even the OpenStack community said that this is also the virtualization engine, and from the last 10 years, nobody's trying to say this is a virtualization.
sure, yeah,
Uh,
definitely, yeah.
so if you hear it's a virtualization platform, are you agree with it or not? How you could explain what is the OpenStack for the newbie who is starting to playing in the space?
I like to say that it's a resource manager, not that it's a virtualization engine, because it manages your infrastructure, your resources, and that could be containerization, it could be virtualization, it could be networks, it also could be bare metal, right? And
Mhm.
those different resources can all play together within that open ecosystem, that OpenStack platform. Because at the core of it, OpenStack is a set of different projects that all work together to create a cohesive API. And so you've got different projects that you can add in. Like if you wanted bare metal, you would add in Ironic, and your API would extend to now have this bare metal functionality. And if I wanted, containerization on, with a like Zune having a, like a compute engine for containerization, I could do that. Or if I just want to do Nova with Magnum to do Kubernetes on top of it, I could do that too. But all of those different projects work together to create again that cohesive ecosystem. And so no, when people come in and they're like, "Well, isn't OpenStack just like for massive scale? Isn't it like just like
Mhm.
trying to be that lesser AWS?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. It can serve that hyper-converged workloads." In fact, if you look behind me in this pile of mess that I have behind me here, I have got a 3-node, OpenStack cloud running on 1-liter PCs, right? It's a little hyper-converged cloud that I tinker with. But I also have it running globally across the whole planet, right? And in 7 data
Mhm.
centers worldwide working together to produce that massively scalable public cloud-like experience. And so the same code base serving both
Mhm.
purposes.
Yeah, and this what it was one of my next questions. So, how you see the minimum installation and the recommendation where you should start with the OpenStack, or because sometimes the people still say, "Oh, it's too difficult, it's too comprehensive. I'm looking for some easy of way
Sure.
virtualization management platform." Is it the proper, let's say, description for today OpenStack?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, when people are saying easy, a lot of the time they're meaning I want an ISO and then I'm going to install it. And OpenStack doesn't have that. At least, there's been a couple attempts at trying to make that over the years. In fact,
Mhm.
Rackspace has done it a couple of times. What we've found is that it is a good starting point, but it's not a great scaling point. And so there are more steps involved when you're deploying an OpenStack cloud historically, whether you're using OpenStack Helm or OpenStack Ansible, or any of the other projects that are out there that deploy OpenStack. There are more steps involved. But it is fairly easy to get started now with all of the help of those deployment projects, with the help of the community ecosystem, the community assets. The getting started is fairly simple, though it is more steps than put a CD in and fill out a form. So
Still,
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
the
yeah,
ISO installation
yeah, yeah,
mode,
yeah.
but it's a there is a huge when I saw the OpenStack first time like 7 8 years ago. and the first steps was significantly much more difficult than we have
Oh yeah,
today.
yeah. Today is very simple. I mean, again, I have years of experience behind it, right? Where I'm kind of thinking about things, and that's where maybe I'm too close to the problem. But I mean, when
Mhm.
I stand up, when I re-kick my lab, it takes about an hour, and then I'm done from end to end, right? From destroying the operating system, going brand new to deploying OpenStack, setting it all up, and putting all my workload on it. It takes about an hour,
Mhm.
and that's pretty quick.
And tell me, because you mentioned, the Rackspace 7 data centers, and how significant still the OpenStack project is for the Rackspace. When I read it, I saw the 5.6 million
Sure.
lines of
Yeah.
codes created and committed by the Rackspace community. So it's a huge number. So could you explain the role of the Rackspace today in the OpenInfra community, plus how you see and how important the project it is for your company these days?
I mean, Rackspace, well, we founded OpenStack, and we were one of the co-founders, right? And so we have committed a ton of code to it, to bootstrap it, to get it to where it is, and we have actively contributed to it over the years. Um, there is a period of time in where we were kind of absent from the space, right? And we were not so present in the environment, so present in the ecosystem. And but have never stopped doing OpenStack. OpenStack is part of our core DNA, right? It is something that is important to us, right? We have not only our public facing cloud running OpenStack, right, in those 7 data centers. We have hundreds of clouds that we're running in private cloud environments where we're supporting massive scale customers across the planet, right? And so OpenStack is like I said, a fundamental part of our core DNA. It is something that is very important to us. And I think that's even more so because, like I said, there was a period of time where we were absent, but we are back, and we are back in a very big way. So much so we're even platinum sponsors of the OpenInfra Foundation as of just a couple months back, right? And so it is definitely a massive part of our of who we are and what we want to be.
Mhm. And where you see, let's say, the space for growing, so the place where the OpenStack should and is actually growing these days.
I mean, historically, that's been a lot of telecommunications workloads. But I mean, with every actually, I mean, our bread and butter has been a lot of the BFSI workloads, a lot of telecommunications workloads, and some scientific workloads. I mean, yeah, you can see that with the like scientific workloads. We have the published case studies with chemical abstracts, right? That's on our website. You can definitely go check it out. But it is something again we are doing with OpenStack, and we are, supporting a massive scale customer running OpenStack that is doing scientific workloads on it that has real life-saving properties behind it. And so, I mean, these are mission critical systems. These aren't tinker toys, or it's not a science project. It is
Mhm.
they are even though they are doing science and they are doing science projects, they're running their business on it. And so the OpenStack is growing in those spaces. I think there's a due to the market shakeup and everything that we're seeing coming out of some of the other players out there like Broadcom and a few others. Uh, we're seeing OpenStack becoming even more important in spaces where it had been before, but maybe not as prevalent, like media and entertainment and things like that. So yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of growth in OpenStack. I don't think it's because of Broadcom, though. I think we are seeing there's definitely some plays there that are opening up because of it.
Yeah, this is what I also wanted to mention, that we cannot always, only says is growing because of it's
No,
it's it's,
definitely not.
it's a
Yeah.
maturity of the market, the need, and it's still, we've seen that not every there was trying to everybody go into the only public clouds, but right now we see the hybrid is a preferred model, and I think is the most, let's say, best suited for the most of the companies. And
I agree.
and when you said this, modules that you have in the OpenStack, you can have so many flavors, different setups, and usage of single platform, that it give you the really broad access. What I see also is the almost managed service providers. And tell me how the Rackspace cooperated before they founded one of the founders of the OpenStack.
I mean,
What type of the stack you've been using?
we before OpenStack, we had our managed hosting business, a dedicated hosting business, right, where we would just manage physical servers for customers. We also have been and still are a very major player in the VMware space, right? I mean, it was one of
Mhm.
our first, I guess, private cloud like systems that we brought to market. And so, I mean, we've done a couple of different iterations of our business over time. I mean, Rackspace is about 25 years old, and so we've done a ton of different things over that period of time.
And tell me a little bit, behind the scenes how to be a community member, maybe for those who would like to join the OpenInfra, and maybe write some code. Is it hard to join, or
It's
what
very
are
easy.
let's say the prerequisites for those who would like to participate and be one of the members?
Yeah, it's very easy to get started. I mean, the Open Infrastructure Foundation has an onboarding guide that will take somebody from I want to contribute code, or I just want to review code, or I kind of want to get plugged in and put my foot in and just put my toes in the water, trying to see how it is. And there's a CLA. You walk through the process of getting signed up. And then once you do, they get you plugged right into their IRC chat rooms where you can talk to the different core contributors, PTLs, et cetera, Open Infrastructure Foundation members themselves, as well as start contributing code and walk through like the Git review process. One of the biggest things that OpenStack does for code review is through Garrett. And that is a little bit different, especially in modern times right now, because a lot of people are used to that GitHub workflow. But
Mhm.
the Garrett workflow, once you kind of get used to it, it's really nice. I mean, the Garrett user interface is fairly approachable. You can look at the code review there. You can make comments in line. You can comment on the pull request itself. You can see who's reviewing it, the status of your CI, and it's very transparent. I think is the thing that I would take away from it. It is different because it is such a big project, but Garrett is a pretty useful tool once you kind of get used to it. And so, yeah, anyways, yeah, onboarding there, I would just check out the
Mhm.
upstream open infrastructure docs on onboarding into the projects that they have available, be it OpenStack or Kata containers or Airship. Like there's all of these different projects that Open Infrastructure sponsors, and once you're onboarded, you can contribute to all of them.
Your favorite right now projects related to the OpenStack
Hmm.
nowadays?
Favorite project. I think my most excited, the project that I think I'm most exciting about. It's a good question.
Yeah. Ah.
I don't know. It stumps me. Because I'm torn, right? Because on one hand, I'm a
Mhm.
like a deep seated nerd, and so like I like what they're trying to do with the Kata containers and how they're trying to how they have created a container like interface with rapid spin up and spin down in a very secure way using virtualization extensions. I think that is amazing. I'm very very excited about that. But in the OpenStack side of the house. I like the what they're doing with Skyline. I from a UI point of view, where they're really bringing a modern experience into OpenStack and creating new user experiences for open infrastructure. Um, but then like I also again back to like my nerd phase is like the stuff that's happening in Nova for accelerators with GPU live migration and anyways like there's I don't know there's probably a lot to like, and we could probably noodle on that for a while. But yeah, favorite project. I don't think I have a favorite. I think I have favorite things that I kind of bounce in between.
Mhm, mhm. And do you see? But let's come back to this Broadcom switch, because there are, let's say, plenty of the new opportunities worldwide who is convincing customers or managed service providers to migrate to the OpenStack. And let's consider that somebody who's watching us right now or watching in the future on a YouTube, they considering, okay, how much time and investment I need to spend to move from one to the other, or maybe do not replace today the VMware, because I don't want to say that you need to
Sure.
do it, but how to differentiate them, and work simultaneously on two different projects, and Do you see many times of these projects, and what are should be the major, let's say, pros and cons when you're thinking about the migration process?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of ways to migrate workloads, be it, from VMware to something else or from something else to VMware, et cetera, right? And there are different service providers out there that can help you do that, different, uh, program extensions that you can use to get out there. OpenStack itself has a new platform called Migrate Kit that can help you do it. Coriolis has a solution for it, right? I mean, there's a lots of different ways of moving your data. The hardest part about moving your data isn't actually the bit migration. It's, training up your teams and getting them used to the different platforms. They could serve the same purpose and have the exact same amount of nines availability. But if your teams aren't comfortable operating in those different solutions, moving the data from one A to B is troublesome. It's hard. It becomes there's like a cognitive block, right? Because the team is
Hmm.
like, I don't understand what's going on, and so it's that ramp up of understanding what that X solution is, be it OpenStack or something else. And so, yeah, I see a lot of opportunity for it, because there are a lot of customers who are wanting to move workloads over. I think what Rackspace does really well is that, because we are a big VMware shop and we are a big OpenStack shop, we understand both really well, and we can kind of help guide the customers through that experience. How they're going to set up two different ecosystems, how they're going to manage their workloads, how they can train the teams, to understand the different platforms, how they work together, and also when to use each one. Right? If you're
Hmm.
running like a vendor provided OVA that is only supported on VMware, um, sure, I could probably help you make it work in OpenStack, and I would love to work with those people to work with those vendors to make those solutions certified on OpenStack as well. But the reality is that customers don't have all the time in the world to make that certification process happen. They need to, make some of these business motions happen immediately. And so in a lot of cases, we can help customers run that workload in VMware and then put the other, workloads that don't make sense, on VMware in OpenStack. And then create, a network topology or a systems, a set of environment capabilities that expose the different environments in meaningful ways, right? So that they can run both side by side.
Hmm. But what I think, because what I notice is there is a huge afraid of something new. Yeah, I don't
For
know the
sure.
technology, and I'm so certified because I did it for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
I have tons of this VMware certification, and in case of any bad happens, at least I have a huge number of the people who knows also the VMware, but
true.
it's not the same with the OpenStack. So how to cope with this? Let's say uh cognitive, you said the cognitive ramp up, and this afraid of change, what should be, how to assure the people that the OpenStack can be a safe place, or something new, challenging for the future perspective.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the best way is to partner with a Rackspace so that we can, help guide you through that process. But for the companies who are looking to onboard their own staff, is to take that first step, and stand up POCs, get familiar with it, tinker with the APIs, use OpenStack public cloud so you understand how the APIs work and what you can expect out of those workloads. What's awesome about the OpenStack API is that, whether you're using an OpenStack public cloud or you're running an OpenStack private cloud, the API is the same, right? And
Hmm.
that unified experience can be, recreated on both platforms. And so if you're unsure of how it's working, I think the best way to figure it out is to kind of get started. And then the next, logical step for enterprises who need, that level of support is to have a partner, like Rackspace.
And that was actually one of my next questions. You mentioned about the API. So API is, the king if we're talking about the automation.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's, if bigger customers is uh, they love to hear that they more and more things they can automate through the API, or to integrate with the third party platforms. We, for example, as a Storware, we do love to have let's say, Horizon plugin,
Sure.
when we can
Yeah.
build the backup as a service offering based on the Horizon. We already started the R&D related to the Skyline, for your information.
Nice. Yeah.
So because we also see the need and the new modern way how to provide it through the Skyline. And this is what I loved when we cooperate with the OpenStack. We know that if we're doing it in the proper way through the API and through the Horizon, we have also our API, so we can hide our solution as a data protection platform, storage, backup, and recovery, and we can expose the service, to doing the data protection in behalf of the managed service provider. So they do not need to expose storage. They can build their
Yeah.
own easily white label with all of the billing stuff, etc. So this is the beauty of the API.
I agree. I totally agree.
But I also, thinking, what is actually let's imagine that typical the enterprise customer, they're using the VMware shop, they considering to move the OpenStack, and they go through the POC process, and they started to first migrate. Where is when you speak with the customers or partners, where is actually their first wow effect when they see the differences between the platforms? Because there are some differences. It's not easy to. I don't like to comparing that. Here you have a KVM, here you have a VMware. When you will move, nothing will change. Of course, it will
Of
change
course, it's going to change. Of
because
course. Yeah.
it's a different philosophy behind the scenes. But what do you think? Where this first impression and what effect is the customers or partners see when they move into the OpenStack?
I think it's the realization that a lot of the core of the fundamental technologies that they've depended their business on are also available in OpenStack. It just has a different name. I think that's
Mhm.
the wow, that aha moment, right? Where they're talking vMotion, we have live migration, right? They have NSX, we have Neutron, so that when they're I think that's that first wow moment. And then that spark also leads to the other components, right? Where they're like, "Oh, I can use Octavia for software defined load balancers. Oh, and Octavia can talk to my NetScalers or my F5s." And you're like, and so now I have this one API that can do both. And then I can have dev, test, and prod all in, one environment with one API with that controls the different environments, and I can expose resources in different projects. And it just it's kind of like the Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's standing in front of the board with all the strings, and everything's pointing everywhere. But it, I think that first moment is that aha, that the
Mhm.
fundamental technologies that businesses have been depending on in that proprietary space are available in the open ecosystem.
This is nice, and the key is to understand that we have a plenty of the opportunities, behind this API.
Oh yeah,
So if we right now struggling with the way how to do the proper automation in a company, so if we would like to make our life easier, and we go in more into the DevOps philosophy, and we build in the different CI/CDs, or right now even the MLOps operation and all of the AI, and also coming back to the AI, actually lately the OpenStack put some information on the AI. It's something huge change. What you see how the OpenStack community reacts to the AI movement
I,
lately?
I mean, I think again, this is the realization that the fundamental technologies that people are relying on are also available in the open ecosystem and have been for a really long time. When you're looking at like accelerator workloads, not just AI, but any workload that requires hardware accelerators, OpenStack has some ridiculously powerful capabilities behind it. Whether that be SRIOV with virtual function pass through, or PCI pass through, yeah, and other scheduler functionalities around OpenStack itself. I mentioned GPU live migrations and things like that. Um, these are all capabilities that are just inherent and built into OpenStack, built into the open ecosystem. And so I think what's awesome here is that the AI movement is really, I think, is one of the key motivators for people to even take a step back and look at whether or not they should be running a hybrid, private public cloud in their environment. Because running accelerators is very expensive. But if you buy it, you can spread that cost out over a longer period of time, put it into your data center, you do the workloads that need to run on it, and an OpenStack can help you do that pretty effectively. So much so that we ourselves are doing it. I don't know if you maybe have seen the recent announcements, but we just recently announced a GPU as a service platform on our Spot platform, which also is running on our OpenStack ecosystem.
Nice one, nice one.
Yeah.
How do you see the ISV, let's say, ecosystem? Um, Even we as a Storware, we are trying and convinced since the last 5 years, and decided that OpenStack is our key source to protect. And we started actually the KVM in 2016, OpenStack in 2019.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when I started the development with the team, I wasn't aware that this is such a great journey ahead of us with the OpenStack community. And how you see the ISV space? How many companies such as Storware, and I don't say only in data protection space, but in the other projects are, let's say, joining to the community, and how you see their role is significant for the community?
I think that's very significant, right? Because they bring, like yourself, you're bringing perspective into the community. I mentioned earlier, right? I might be too close to the problem because I can, like I make assumptions that everybody is just going to know. But the reality is that there's a learning. And when ISV, independent software vendors, are coming in with solutions and trying to build systems and services around OpenStack using that API, using different working solutions, or trying to bring like vendor sponsored platforms into the ecosystem, I think you're bringing perspective into the platform that, like, myself as a core contributor may not have, right? And so I'm going to learn from you, from your experience, and then we can incorporate those lessons learned, those functionalities, those needs into the platform, as well as ensure that your business is thriving, right? Being able to leverage the open ecosystem in a meaningful way. And so I think it's very important. I think between yourself and others, people who are providing backup solutions are very needed. Being able to have the customers, like especially enterprise customers, need to have that vendor driven solution that brings in the certifications, those processes, those capabilities, and those assurances that their data is going to be safe. And so that is that's a huge need. Um, so yeah, where I see ISVs, I think they're extremely important to the platform ecosystem. I think they make a ton of sense into OpenStack, and I think there's a healthy relationship there. Um, that's my 2 cents, I guess.
Yeah, but this is what I also noticed is that 2016, when we started the data protection for the KVM, there was actually, I don't want to say none, but there was really few or plenty of the, let's say, providers who could leverage the enterprise grade data protection.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised, when I started Storware, because we made the decision that we are devoted to the open source platforms, KVM based and Zen based, because nobody cares. Everybody's only concentrated on the Hyper-VM and VMware because they have more than 80% of the market.
For sure.
And was near hundreds of the different data backup vendors who all only tried this one. Then they joined to the Nutanix because the Nutanix also involving, so most of the biggest vendors added. But still, even today, when you see the Magic Quadrant from the backup and recovery space, most of the top players, they don't have the OpenStack capabilities. And I'm really glad to hear such as news, because we are fill the gaps from the biggest vendors. Cooperation with the OpenText, with Dell, so we are available through their channel, selling our product. But also we see still the huge need, and this is the small advertisement from ourselves, that if you're planning to use OpenStack and thinking about the data protection, we are here to help you. And we feel quite comfortable because the last 9 years of the experience with the KVM based hypervisor giving us the assurance that we know how to do it in a proper way. and I'm really glad that soon our services will be available for both companies for the mutual integration, so the
Yeah,
Rackspace and the Storware,
coming
to
soon.
help our customers and your customers to make their life easier in case of any data loss.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
mean,
this is
and I
it.
think you're ahead of the curve, right? I mean, if you look at sure, KVM's not new. KVM's been around for extremely long period of time, and there are monster organizations running KVM, and have been for forever. But I mean, even on the most recent, kernel mailing list, right? There's VMware engineers talking about, how they can use KVM as well, right? And so I think even KVM is that not new platform that everybody is now talking about. And I think the fact that you guys already do it so well, it sets you well apart, right? So yeah, it's exciting.
So looking forward not only on the Horizon plugin but the Skyline next year.
Skyline, yeah, yeah,
already on the roadmap. So you will be one of the first, let's say, technology alliances who will know about it, especially before. Uh, Tell me about the Rackspace distinction, because this is how I work in the backup and recovery space. My distinction is that I was always much more closer to the KVM space, and even
sure.
if Vim goes, Commvault, we are not afraid to saying, okay, we are a smaller shop, but we are devoted to this project and we have a really good expertise. How are you distinct from the other MSPs on the market?
I think it's we're similar, right? I mean, at one point, Rackspace Public Cloud was the number 2 public cloud behind Amazon. We're not that anymore, right? We're that race is over. We're not that big, but we are devoted to that open ecosystem, that open experience, and we have the expertise to build and compete at that level. And so when we're talking about our distinction, we're talking about that the fundamental expertise and passion to drive
Mhm.
an open ecosystem in that enterprise space, to be an enterprise player, standing behind customers, supporting them in that environment, and using open technologies. And I mean, there are very few companies who do that. I mean, the ones that come to mind are like Red Hat and SUSE, and we are one of those players in the sense that we are an enterprise player with open ecosystems. And so I think there's a when we're talking about our distinction, I think we're talking about the tenure of our rackers, what we call our employees, right? The number of the years that they've been with us, the amount of just domain expertise that they have,
Mhm.
and how that they can again have a meaningful impact for our customers, um, uh, with them. Uh, I think a part of that too is that trust, is that bond that we have with a lot of our customers, right? Where since in some cases we find that some of our customers actually will have like a dedicated architect from Rackspace and in their organizational chart, right? Where they're like
Mhm.
they see them as their employee, even though they're a racker, because they rely on that individual or that individual's team to succeed in their business. And so again, it's that I think it's if I was going to distill this down to a single word, I think it is that passion, right? The passion to drive enterprise platforms with open ecosystems.
So if we will have somebody who's using the Rackspace OpenStack plus store data protections, it will be the Backupmonster Racker.
That's right.
Uh, yeah, so
Yeah.
Bob, we called our employees Backup Monsters. You
Yeah.
have a
Nice.
Racker, so
Yeah.
nice, nice. Then Backup Monster is also our mascot.
Yeah.
Uh, so Kevin, the final thoughts. What do you think? And I always love to ask this question for all of my special guests, is that we talk about the past, we talk about how the present looks like, how you see the OpenStack project in the near future, let's say from 2-3 years plus, and the long-term perspective, like 10 years plus.
I think if you look at the from an analyst point of view, OpenStack is projected to grow exponentially all through 2032 in its current state, and that is a snapshot from this year, right? Or late last year, right? And so it is expected to grow exponentially for a significant amount of time. And the moves that the Open Infrastructure Board, the foundation, everything else is moving towards is actually making it so that they're staying again ahead of the curve. They're with the times. They're not lagging. They're not trying to play catch up. And so I think that where OpenStack is going in the future is exciting, and there's a lot of momentum behind it today. But there's also a lot of longevity behind it from the past, right? I mean, it started in 2010. We're here in 2024, still talking about it, talking about new evolutions of it, new iterations of it, new releases of it. And so I think I think we're going to see OpenStack for a very, very long time, and I think we're going to continue to see it evolve for that period of time. When we're talking about
We'll have a, we'll have a gray long
gray
beard
beard,
soon.
I have a little
Yeah.
bit already, but we'll have more of it for
I just
sure.
shaved before
Yeah,
the episode, so
yeah,
I was 10 years older
yeah.
an hour ago.
Yeah.
But
I have to keep some beard, otherwise I look 10 years younger.
same here. But when I came to the office, the girls said, "Oh no, you need to shave." And 5 hours before, my wife said the same. No,
Yeah.
you never look too old. Still,
Yeah,
but I have a gray hair, so
yeah,
I
I'm,
don't
I'm
have.
getting it. I'm getting it. It's
No, you have
yeah,
much more bigger opportunities
yeah,
to stay younger
yeah.
than me.
But yeah. So I think the open ecosystem, the open infrastructure ecosystem, OpenStack itself has a long, long road in front of it. I think when we're talking about the where we are at Rackspace, right? We're here at the beginning. There was a period of time where you may not have been hearing from us, but we're back in a very big way, and we are excited to displace giants. And we are looking forward to moving OpenStack and being a part of this community, this ecosystem, this platform in a very big way. And so I think it's exciting.
So still ahead of the curve, and the momentum will come much more bigger. So we are in a good space,
We're in a great space.
but the best is ahead of us
Yet to
here.
come.
So looking forward to it. What is important, I would like to mention, you already said a few times, Kevin, that you have a dedicated team that then can help consult and put the OpenStack into the right scenario from the architecture point of view or the consultant point of view to better understand or mitigate the risk of the new projects related to the OpenStack. So I just want to emphasize on this episode that if you're looking for the experience rackers, the Rackspace is the best place to knock to the door and ask about the help. And this is, I believe, it's really important, because having this kind of the experience and 14 years and all of this knowledge backporting to the OpenStack from the beginning, this is a huge opportunity to have, and there's no many consultants that can have this kind of the commitment, and as you said, the passion, same as we do in a backup and recovery space for the KVM based and Zen based hypervisors. So again, I will emphasize that I'm really excited about our cooperation between the Storware and the Rackspace. So looking forward for the mutual
Agreed.
huge number of the wins and satisfied customers. So consider, if you're also looking for the enterprise grade data protection, Storware team is here to help you here. Anything else that you would like to add, Kevin, in the end, before we'll close the session?
Not really. I mean, I'm just looking forward to, I'm really thankful for you to having me here on the show, being able to talk about OpenStack, talk about Rackspace, talk about our combined, companies, our passion that we have for the platforms, the ecosystems that we're operating in, and as well, just excited for the future. I think people are going to be very happy with what they see and delighted with the outcomes that players like us are able to provide them.
Beauty. So thank you for your time. Our guest was Kevin Carter from the Rackspace. Have a great day. Stay safe. And if you're watching not live, but postponing the YouTube channel or on LinkedIn, do not hesitate to leave a comment. We'll come in, let you know as fast as possible. Any case or any question will appear. And again, have a great day. Thank you for your time. Stay in touch. Bye-bye.
Cheers.